You've watched some of your favorite comic book characters be bastardized to the point to where they're completely unrecognizable. They're just used as career stepping stones for a lot of writers that don't care about the lore. Some even despise their fans. Those are people that just want to tell stories that represent their social political views, even if they don't make sense for the characters that they're writing. And of course, these mega corporations that control these properties don't exactly make it easy for you to get in and understand what's canon. So maybe it's time for something new. We are a comic book company first and foremost that will never be forgotten no matter how big this venture gets. And we are guided by a set of principles known as the Ripperverse ethic. You will find this on a page in every single book that we release, and it's a set of standards that we certainly want you to hold us to. There are three main things that we will always emphasize. Number one, respect the customer. We aren't owed your dollar, but we love to have you as longtime supporters. It's going to be up to us to keep you interested and invested. Now, anytime there's passion involved, there's going to be those conflicts, but we'll respect you. So as long as you respect us, it's all about reciprocity. Our second point of emphasis is canon and continuity. This is an ever-expanding universe. There's going to be many of characters that will be introduced. But when you buy a book from us, you own a piece of history. It matters. These events will not be erased by way of time travel or some multiversal aspect. And number three, a comprehensive timeline. No matter when you jump into this space, we want to make it easy for you to get caught up on some characters that you're interested in, so we're going to keep the reboots to a minimum. Now don't worry, we know that picking up the pieces is part of the fun, so we're not going to exactly hold your hand. And while I personally value liberty, we're not going to beat you over the head with on-the-nose current politics and current narratives that will completely contradict what it is that we're trying to do here. So whether you're into our main character in our first book, Isum, or you're into Yaira, or you're interested in all of them, will certainly have you as a customer. Your ethnic background or genetic makeup is wholly irrelevant to us. Now, previously being part of comic book fandoms myself, I understand the importance of them. We'll do our jobs to preserve the sanctity on the business end, and we hope you will help us preserve a more healthy and thriving fandom. If we manage to do that, we're going to be very competitive in this market, and we're going to make our mark on this industry. We're not going to be perfect. Errors will be made, but we won't let that stop us from being great. So visit Rippaverse.com, where we have our own unique store that is tailor-made for our audience. A lot of our stuff will be released in campaign format with limited edition items, and once they're gone, they're gone. We'll be making books that expand across many different genres, so I'm very confident that we'll have something that is right for you in a series that you'll make your favorite. And one last thing. I started this company with no external investors, and that's something that I like to remain true. Sure, we want to expand in many different avenues, video games, animation, maybe even live action movies, but not if it means selling off assets. We only answer to the customer. We don't want to make the same mistake as the other guys.
Hard not to get hype over that. Bishop, great comment here. Disney, DC, etc. They want the fan to hate everything you loved as a child. The purpose is to erase the past and force feed you into their new future. So many different strengths or the power that comes, that they get strength from erasing your path. Here's his website. You go to the website, sign up just for the notification. Monday it goes live, so you can go in and buy. If you want to buy a book, I think he said it's something like $30. Not too bad for $100. This is not like, just a 20-page comic book. It's a 100-page, I think, hardcover book he's got to release. Can't wait to get it and see how, I might read it with my kids too. They get just like I grew up with comics at the library, they're getting them too. I want to go back to the trailer here, and I want to go through some of the pictures that I liked. So let me go through here with no audio on it. The first one was my favorite one, and this sounds like this is ISOM. Yeah, you see it in the background. ISOM is the name. Like that's a dope drawing there. And then you go in here. I like this stuff here. I like this. I don't know why I like that. Just that's vintage style right there. Here you go. See some more artwork. Very diverse group of characters we're seeing here. And then he talked about he will have this in every book. I think this is respecting the customer, all his the kind of driving force behind this in every book to remind you that's what he's doing. That's the number one thing, respect the customer. Some more artwork right here. Interested to see what kind of power or what that is going on over here. You see there's like this green outline on the woman there. Here's some more. Ooh, this is nice. Now, I used to try to draw. I mean, this is this type of passion I used to have with comics. Used to try to draw. I would trace them at first and then try to draw them. I actually drew some decent ones way back in the day, but it took me forever. It wasn't like a natural talent. It literally took hours. Good. This is some good looking stuff. He got some real. I'm not a comic book expert here, but artists or to draw this. It looks good. I really like this picture here. I don't know what superpower this is, but we'll find out probably Monday, or we'll find out more Monday. Get a little bit of Grand Theft Auto vibes from it, from that one. And Grand Theft Auto has great imagery. So there you go, Ripperverse. I have one thing to add here. I believe it was at 2:55. Rippa made this comment.
On the nose current politics and current beat you over the head with on the nose current politics and current narratives that will completely contradict what. And while I personally value liberty, we're not going to beat you over the head with on the nose current politics and current narratives that will completely contradict what it is that we're trying to do here. So
I would say that I do want to see those concepts in the comic books. So I think what he's saying there is he's not going to be just doing like, how Law and Order, if you ever watched Law and Order back in the day, they actually just took hot topics like they would have taken. I think it came back, but I only watched the old ones, like Roe v. Wade. They would do a show that was not exactly Roe v. Wade, but you could tell it was a play off of that. Or the bodega incident where the guy sliced up the other guy who tried to come at him. They would do that on Law and Order, but they would twist it a little bit. I think he's saying he's not gonna do like spot on like that, but I want to see. I think the true issue is not putting politics in the in the comics. I don't think that's the problem. The problem is that it's all one-sided. The problem is there's no balance with it. So if you don't know, Eric July is an anarcho-capitalist, or he's a libertarian, but he's an ANCAP. So I want to see. I want to see those ideas of anarcho-capitalism in the comic books. I don't want to see a guy, looks like him with a hat and the beard and everything. That's a self-insert. So the ideas of anarcho-capitalism could come across through a character that doesn't look like him and in a way that he would never say it. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually want to see that. The problem is I want to see the pros and cons. That's what X-Files, the animated series, really tackled some of these things. Batman did too. but it was indirect, and I think that's what he's talking about. He'll continue that legacy of handling these issues indirectly. But I want to see libertarian ideas in there, and I want to see the positives and the negatives of the libertarian ideas in the different storytelling and the lines, and the positives and negatives of being a zombie or a corporate shill or whatever position you have. It's MAGA. That would be cool, I think. So I think he will do that in a bigger, more macro way that's not in your face and doesn't dominate the storyline. It's not, the point isn't to get those things across. That's what we're seeing now also. It's not just that there's no balance. It's like it's created to get that ideology, just like propaganda. So Bishop was talking about Marvel. Ray Studio said, I view myself a bit like a Trump Teddy Roosevelt capitalist. I like that line. Marvel was all about social, cultural issues of its time back in the 70s and 80s. Yes, it did touch on, and I think he would know that way more than I would. And I think that's what he means, is that he's going to keep it true to that. And I think he's hiring writers who really wrote some of that stuff back in the day. We'll see who's on the team. I don't think it has been fully announced yet. Ray says Professor X and Magneto are based on MLK and Malcolm X. I think actually Young July refutes that. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know. But yeah, whether they are or not, the point is well taken. You've got two sides. That's the balance. That's great. I think that's the problem with the politics in sports, ESPN. Because I was looking at it and they were talking about Roe v. Wade on ESPN, and I was like, man, that's why I don't watch ESPN anymore. But then there was a UFC fighter who was talking about that E. Island, the guy who unlived himself allegedly with the case with all the very horrible acts and very famous people who are being hidden. And this UFC fighter was talking about it openly, and that's social, that's kind of political, and I didn't mind it. So I'm like, it's not really the ESPN politics that I mind, it's that they don't have both sides or all sides. That's what I don't like. Ray says Stan Lee even confirmed it. So I'm not familiar, so I will have to go with what you're saying on that one. But the point still taken is like, you've got these two competing ideas of the world. And in the end, no one really wins. There's no, the story just keeps going. There's no like, oh, this ideology always wins or that one doesn't. That's the cool part about it.